My name is Dan Dorval, and I'm President and CEO of Dorval and Cherney Financial Advisors. I am an independent certified financial planner and author of my book, Financial Success for the Rest of Us, Reality-Based Financial Planning for Mainstream America.
Hi, my name is Leah Woodley. I'm an associate financial advisor with Dorval and Cherney Financial Advisors. Our conversations discuss what it means to do quality of life planning in all areas of your life.
Whether someone has a benefit or not. So it's just there's just all types. I want to start this over. Okay. Then today I want to talk about Social Security and specifically when it comes to divorced individuals. There's all types of rules around what happens if someone is divorced pertaining to their ex-spouse's Social Security benefit. So I want to start with if you are divorced, can you claim Social Security based on your ex-spouse's work record if they are living?
So it's somewhat of a complicated question in regard to even if you Google this and you start to get information from Social Security, you're gonna get confused really fast. And the
Okay.
reason for most of that confusion is the way Social Security communicates. You always want to start with the distinction between a retirement benefit
Mhm.
and a survivor benefit.
Yeah.
Okay, so in this example, you're talking about somebody who is divorced and their ex-spouse is still living, and this
Yeah.
person who's divorced has not remarried. In that particular situation, your retirement benefit is the focus, and that retirement benefit is going to either be your own benefit or one half of your ex-spouse's benefit, whichever number is greater. So if
Mhm.
both of you were working and both of you made, somewhat similar amounts of money, you're going to likely be claiming on yourself and you're not going to be claiming on your ex-spouse. However, if you were maybe a stay-at-home spouse for a long time, maybe your earnings record is significantly lower than your ex-spouse, you absolutely could have the option of claiming half of their retirement benefit if that's greater than your own benefit. And
Mhm.
so we want to think in terms of these complicated, what if type scenarios and always make sure you're maximizing your potential Social Security benefit.
Got it. So what you're saying is they can't get both benefits at the same time.
No.
Okay.
So a lot of times people get confused by that. And then the biggest confusion is now if the ex-spouse has died. And it
Mm.
might be the ex-spouse died, well after the divorce. It could be
Mhm.
20 years later, your ex-spouse has died. And as long as you have not remarried, you're going to end up in a situation where now we're talking about survivor benefits. And
Mhm.
those survivor benefits, I can collect 100% of my ex-spouse's earnings
Mhm.
or my own, and it depends kind of on age. It might be and or my own, where I might claim their benefit first and then wait on mine, or I might claim my benefit first and wait on theirs. Survivor benefits are much more confusing when compared to retirement benefits. And yet, when I Google something like this, Social Security doesn't communicate very well in explaining the difference between retirement and survivor benefits. And therefore, all of a sudden, I get confused between the two. So we get a lot of people coming in and going, hey, my ex spouse earned way more money than I did. When I retire, I'm going to claim their benefit because it's bigger than mine. It's like, no, you don't get to do that. You get to claim half of their retirement benefit, assuming they're still living. And you didn't need to make that much money in order for your own benefit to be bigger than half of theirs.
So when it comes to the retirement benefit, does the ex-spouse have to claim first in order for the spouse to claim on their benefit?
So some of this also gets really confusing as far as like whose benefits being claimed at a certain time, and it depends. Are you claiming at age 62? Are you claiming at age
Mhm.
67? How old is your ex-spouse relative to you? And so there's a lot of these issues that get really confusing as communications. So if somebody is married and then they want to claim half of their spouse's benefit, their spouse has to claim. But if you
Mhm.
are divorced, that is not necessarily the case.
Mhm.
So it really depends on how you're claiming and what age you currently are at the time that you are claiming.
Got it. Now, if someone has significant retirement savings, they have a pension and potentially other income as well, should they approach Social Security differently as a divorced woman
Well, anyone who
or
is
man?
not, yeah, anyone who is not married
Hmm.
always is focused primarily on retirement benefits because they're not really focused on survivor benefits. That's going to benefit a spouse.
Right.
And so you look in terms of, okay, what resources do I have available? And how do I utilize those resources as efficiently as possible? And so for many people, if they're looking at taking a Social Security benefit early, and early for most people means prior to age 67, we want to think in terms first off, hey, I know you just maybe retired, but you've never retired before. What
Hmm.
happens if you want to go back to work? What happens if you get an opportunity to do something you find interesting, but you could also make a significant amount of money? We don't want you to take Social Security as early as possible because that might potentially limit your opportunities in the future. So a
Hmm.
lot of times what we'll do is if somebody leaves, let's say they are retired, they're 62 years old, they could claim their retirement Social Security. They're going to take a very significant deduct for doing that. And now, let's say they just say, I'm not sure if Social Security is going to be there for me. So everybody's telling me I should take it right now. They
Hmm.
take it. And then a year later, they go, oh, I'd prefer to work. I found an opportunity that would be great and I'm going to make more than about $24,000 a year. Well, now I'm restricted in how much I can make because I collected Social Security. So, what will tell many people is if they don't necessarily need that Social Security right at 62, so they have other resources available, pension, investments, whatever it happens to be, we might tell them, hey, why don't you hold off for at least a while? And a
Hmm.
while is a relative term, meaning that might be until 64, 65, 66. Why don't you hold off for a while? See how retirement goes for you. And maybe when you're 65 and you're going to collect Medicare, maybe that's a great time for us to look at it again and say, okay, you've been retired for a few years. You're not going back to work. You could claim at that point and just align it with your Medicare because those two are somewhat integrated anyway. So it's different for everybody. And for a divorced person in particular, you're focused much more on retirement benefits. You're not focused on survivor benefits.
Thank you so much for making that distinction. Now, when it comes to divorced individuals, are there any glaring mistakes that you see, whether it be in claiming the Social Security retirement benefit or the survivor benefit?
I think the most glaring mistakes that people make about Social Security in general, so this applies to divorced people and really everyone else,
Hmm.
is getting bombarded with noise from the world around you, telling you, you need to do this, you need to do that. And so for some people, they're getting hit with take it as early as possible because it's going to go broke, take it as late as possible and allow it to grow. And really, the mistake there is thinking in terms of what you need in order to maintain quality of life and look at what makes sense for your situation because Social Security is absolutely not a one size fits all type of thing. You want to make sure if you're claiming it makes sense for you. And I'll give you an example. For a lot of the M&A nurses that we help, they will have a pension and it can be a significant resource for them. But their pension doesn't have a cost of living adjustment on it. And so
Mm,
20 years later, they're getting the same pension amount as when they retired. If they can wait on Social Security and maybe use investments first, or maybe they're part time working or whatever it is, if they can get their Social Security as big as possible, that has cost of living adjustments on it. And if we have significant inflation in the future, the increases on their Social Security will help offset the fact that their pension isn't increasing and it'll
right.
help them maintain quality of life. So that is a very specific situation, but those nurses still get bombarded with the same noise as everyone else in the world. And so they get confused just like everyone else does.
Yeah, I think if anyone takes away anything from this channel, any of our videos, don't follow the noise. Well, thank you so much, Dan. And if there's anything else you would like to share, feel free to do so at this time.
I think one of the things is if you just go on Google and you look at Social Security, I think you're going to walk away going, I just read exactly what they say the rules are, and I still have no idea what the rules are.
Right?
And that is common for financial advisors. It's
Hmm.
common for certainly our clients. So it's really important to make sure that you're understanding exactly how the rules work for your situation.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, until next time, have a great one.
Thanks, Leah.